You're sitting at the dealer's desk. There's a stack of papers in front of you, a pen in your hand, and that new car smell is still stuck to your clothes. The salesperson smiles, turns the screen toward you, and asks the question that sounds harmless, but changes everything. So, what's a monthly payment that feels comfortable for you? In that moment, the trap is already set. You're not thinking about the total price of the car. You're not thinking about how many years this contract is going to follow you around. You're thinking about how good it will feel to drive off this lot today, in a car that finally looks like the car of a real adult. On paper, it just looks like another form, but in practice, it's a financial bear trap. It doesn't snap shut with blood and drama. It closes slowly, month after month, while you send hundreds of dollars to a car that loses value every single day. My name is Dale, and I spend way too much time studying how completely normal contracts quietly turn into invisible chains around people's financial lives. If this helps you see car loans for what they actually are, not just monthly payments, but a long-term chain around your choices, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here's the thing. This video is not never buy a car. It's about seeing exactly where the trap is, in the way the financing is structured, in the monthly payment trick, and in the ultra-long loan terms that keep you chained for years. And more importantly, how to avoid stepping into that trap, or how to open it if it's already wrapped around your leg. Let's start at the moment that feels like a win. You've negotiated a bit. Maybe they threw in some floor mats. Maybe they knocked something off the sticker price. The salesperson leans in and says, "We can make this work for you." That sentence is catnip for the brain. It sounds like they're on your side. Then they ask, "What monthly payment are you hoping to be around?" Notice what just happened. The conversation was about a car that costs tens of thousands of dollars. In one sentence, it's been reduced to a single number. A monthly feeling. Not math, not total cost, a feeling. This is how most people walk into the bear trap. They're not reckless. They're not bad with money. They're just following the script the industry has trained them to follow. Tell us your budget. We'll make it fit. Let's get real about the numbers for a second. Recent data shows that the average monthly payment on a new car in the U.S. is around $748. The average new car loan is a little over $42,000, with an average interest rate around 6.5%. And the average loan term is just over 69 months, which is almost 6 years. That means for a lot of people, this isn't just a car they have for a while. It's a bill that owns them for the better part of a decade. And that's the average. There's a growing chunk of people paying over $1,000 a month for a car. To make those payments work, dealers stretch loans to 72 or even 84 months. On the surface, the monthly number looks more affordable. Underneath, the trap gets much deeper. Here's where it gets interesting. When a loan stretches to 84 months, the math quietly flips against you. You're not just paying for the car. You're paying thousands of dollars extra, just for the privilege of seeing a smaller number on that monthly line. One example from financial coaches. Finance $40,000 at around 7% for 60 months, and you'll pay roughly $7,500 in interest. Stretch that exact same loan to 84 months, and the interest jumps to more than $10,700. That's over $3,000 gone, purely because you wanted the payment to feel smaller. Think about what $3,000 could be. A basic used car upgrade, a starter emergency fund, a buffer that lets you breathe when life hits you sideways. But in the long-term loan, it just disappears into the trap. And it gets worse. With long-term loans, most of your early payments barely touch the principal. For the first few years, The majority of your money goes toward interest, not actually owning more of the car. Meanwhile, the car is depreciating the moment it leaves the lot. That's how you end up in negative equity, owing more than the car is worth. You're upside down. If you try to sell the car, you still owe the bank. If you try to trade it in, the dealer rolls that leftover debt into your next loan. And suddenly, you're financing a car you no longer even own. This is the trap inside the trap. You can't just walk away. To escape, you have to pay. So most people don't escape. They stay. Let's connect this to your actual life, not just the spreadsheet. Imagine you're paying around $750 a month for a new car, which is close to the current average. That's $9,000 a year. Over 5 years, that's $45,000 in payments. And that's before insurance, gas, maintenance, and all the little extras that grew around the car. Now imagine a different version of you. Same job, same income. But instead of a big new car with a long loan, you're driving a cheaper used car with either a very small payment or no payment at all. What happens to that $700 or $750 every month? Let's keep it simple. Take just $600 a month of that. Over 3 years, that's $21,600 that could exist as savings or investments instead of disappearing into a depreciating asset. Over 5 years, that's $36,000. You don't need complicated compounding math to see the difference. You just need to see that every affordable monthly payment is a slice of a future you're not building. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The biggest predictor of feeling okay financially isn't driving a luxury car. Research from Vanguard and other sources shows that one of the strongest predictors of financial well-being is simply having at least $2,000 in emergency savings. People with that kind of buffer report lower financial stress, spend fewer hours worrying about money each week, and feel more in control of their finances. So, when a car loan eats $600, $700, $750 every month, it's not just blocking you from some abstract future net worth. It's blocking you from the basic emergency cushion that would let you breathe. The bear trap doesn't just clamp around your leg. It closes around your nervous system. Now, let's talk about identity, because this is where a lot of people stay in the trap even when they know the math doesn't make sense. The car industry is extremely good at selling a story. A real adult has a certain kind of car. A responsible parent drives something new, safe, and shiny. A successful professional has something respectable in the office parking lot. So when you sit at that dealer's desk, you're not just buying transportation. You're buying a story about yourself. And stories are powerful. A lot of people would rather stay in the trap than face the discomfort of driving something below their imagined status. Here's the thing. That story is expensive. You're trading years of financial flexibility, the ability to say no to a toxic boss, or the ability to handle a medical bill without panic, for the right to not feel judged by strangers in a parking lot. In the next minute, ask yourself this honestly. Would you rather have a car that impresses people who don't even know your name? Or would you rather have quiet confidence that you can handle life when it hits you from the side? Let's get practical now. How do you avoid stepping into the car loan trap in the first place? First, refuse to talk in monthly payments only. When a dealer asks, "What do you want your payment to be?" you bring the conversation back to total price, interest rate, and term. You want to know 3 things clearly: how much the car costs, how long you'll be paying, and what the all-in cost will be with interest. Second, set hard rules for yourself before you ever step on a lot. For example, you might decide, I will not take a loan longer than 48 or 60 months. I won't finance a car that costs more than a certain percentage of my annual income. I won't let my car payment stop me from building at least a basic emergency fund in the next 12 months. Yes, you might end up in a smaller, older, less exciting car. But that's the point. You're choosing to be slightly underwhelmed by your car, so you can be much less terrified by your bank account. Third, never finance extras into the loan unless you absolutely have to. Extended warranties, add-ons, upgrades, they all feel small in the moment. Spread over 69 to 84 months, they become more weight on the trap. If you can't afford the car without rolling all of that in, the car is probably above your real range. Now, what if you're listening to this thinking, "Too late, I'm already in the trap"? Then this part is for you. The goal is not to feel ashamed. The goal is to get unstuck. Start by getting brutally honest about the numbers. How much do you still owe on the car? How much is it actually worth if you sold it today? If you owe more than it's worth, you're in negative equity. It's not a moral failure. It's a position a lot of people are in because the system is designed that way. Then, look at your options on a spectrum from least painful to most decisive. On the softer end, you might refinance to a shorter term so you pay it off faster, as long as the payment fits your budget. Cut aggressively in other areas for a year or two to throw extra money at the principal and get back to zero sooner. On the more decisive end, you might sell the car, even if it means bringing some cash to the table to close the gap, and move into a cheaper car, maybe one you can buy with cash, or with a very small, short-term loan. Yes, that feels like going backwards, but you're not going backwards. You're stepping out of the trap and back onto solid ground. This is the part nobody tells you. There is no glamorous way to unwind a bad car loan. There's no clever hack. What there is a choice between staying in the trap for years or taking a short, sharp hit now to get your freedom back. Let's bring the emergency savings piece back in here. Vanguard's research found that having at least $2,000 in emergency savings is one of the strongest predictors of financial well-being and lower stress. People with that cushion spend fewer hours each week thinking about money and feel more confident they can handle a surprise expense. You do not need to be rich to feel materially safer. You need that first, boring, unsexy buffer. Imagine what happens if part of your trap exit plan is not just lowering the car burden, but also targeting that first $2,000 of buffer as quickly as possible. You're not chasing a millionaire fantasy. You're building the first layer of actual safety. Here's where it gets interesting again. Once you've broken out of the trap and built even a basic cushion, your relationship with cars changes. You're no longer trying to buy identity with a monthly payment. You start seeing cars as what they really are: tools. You might still like cars. You might still enjoy driving something nice someday. But you'll only do it when the numbers work in your favor, not because a dealer made $750 a month sound like a good deal. And that shift has ripple effects all over your life. When your lifestyle isn't chained to a car payment, you have more leverage at work. You can say no to a toxic job or a bad boss, because missing one paycheck doesn't mean you lose the car. You can handle a surprise expense without sliding instantly into panic. You sleep more easily because your brain isn't constantly running the what-if scenarios. If you've ever felt like money stress is this constant background noise in your life, ask yourself how much of that noise is coming from contracts you signed years ago. Not just the amount of money, but the length of the commitment. A 69 or 84-month car loan doesn't just take your dollars. It takes your options. Here's the thing. Breaking the chain doesn't have to start with some dramatic gesture. It can start with a decision that your next car will be smaller, older, or less impressive than what your peers drive. It can start with calling your lender and asking what happens if you pay an extra $100 a month on the principal. It can start with listing the car, running the numbers honestly, and seeing if a reset now puts you on a completely different trajectory 3 years from today. Most people never do that math. They just accept, "This is my car payment," as a fixed part of their identity. They build their entire budget around it. And then they wonder why they never feel like they're getting ahead. So let's flip the script. Imagine a version of you 5 years from now who has no car payment, or a small one that doesn't scare you, a few $1,000s in an emergency fund, the ability to say no to things that don't feel right, because you're not chained to someone else's spreadsheet. That version of you doesn't look as flashy in a parking lot. But that version of you sleeps better, negotiates better, and thinks more clearly. That version of you is harder to manipulate with special offers and limited-time deals. If this changed how you think about car loans and the way they quietly chain people for years, hit subscribe for more videos that actually explain how money works in real life, not just in theory, because once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. And once you know where it is, you can walk around it instead of straight into it. The car you drive should help you move through the world. It shouldn't decide where you're allowed to go. If this helped you see car payments as a trap you can actually step out of, not just a bill you're stuck with, please help me get to my first 1,000 subscribers and hit that subscribe button.